focus on an American painter. Her name was Laurel Burch, and she did these great cat paintings. This is my rendition of one of what we're going to work on today. She was born December 31st, 1945 in California. Her mother was a seamstress for a singer, and so Laurel grew up in a very artistic kind of family. When she was young, her parents did divorce, so her mom was a single mother raising her and her sister, and that kind of taught her how to be self-sufficient and kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But she also grew up in that creative environment with her mother being an artist herself and a seamstress and working on costumes. Laurel was married a few times in her life. They didn't all work out. She was married 3 times. So there was a time when she was a single mother herself raising her children, and she decided to take her love of art and make that a profession for herself so that she could support her daughters and her, or her children and her, I should say. She was known for painting, for making jewelry. She does these bright, bold, colorful paintings, mainly of animals, specifically cats, because when she was younger, she was diagnosed with a rare bone disease, and she couldn't run around and play the same way that other kids could. So she took a lot of solitude and comfort from staying inside and playing with her pets, specifically cats, and cuddling and getting all the love and attention that she needed from them. And it just kind of gave her that joy that other kids get when they can, go outside and ride a bike or run around. She wasn't able to do that, so she drew pictures of her cats, and she played with them, and she kind of carried that love of animals, specifically cats, into her adulthood. She unfortunately did pass away in September of 2007, so she's no longer with us, but she's a relatively current artist. You can still see a lot of her pictures. There's calendars that have been printed. Her prints have been recreated. People make stamps of her cats, both for letters and ones that you can buy to make artwork yourself. Her cats have been turned into pins and jewelry, even after her death, so not just her company as well. So she really does kind of still have a foothold in contemporary art and in popular art now, I should say. And I just love it. It's bright, it's fun, it's colorful, and I have a cat myself. I'm a cat person. So I just thought it would be kind of a fun little easy painting for us to do today. We're going to use some crayons, some watercolor, and some permanent marker. So I hope you stick with the video and you enjoy it and make your own cat. Okay, we're going to get started. So for materials today, we have watercolor paper. If you don't have watercolor paper on you, any kind of thicker, like a cardstock type paper will work, because we are going to use watercolor paints, so we just don't want it to soak straight through. Pencil, a Sharpie. I've got some crayons, because we are going to use these in our artwork to kind of make a resist type deal like we did with one of Mrs. Weber's projects. Got some water, because we are going to be painting. So I have my watercolor set, and then I have just a few different sized brushes for when I actually get to the painting. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with a pencil. And what we're trying to make is the cat shape, so I'm going to start by kind of making this almost W shape, like that. Brought the sides in, it's tapered a little bit, so that I can make the ear shape. Just 2 triangles, and drawing a line to connect those, okay? We have this little lip, bottom lip, so I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to erase a little bit of this line, because in the reference photo, the nose comes pretty close to where the lips are meeting. And then we just draw some straight lines up. So make this square shape to kind of block out the cat's nose. And then the eyes connect straight from the nose to the side of the head in our reference photo. So I'm going to do the same thing. Draw my eyes in. And the cat sort of has this bag under its eye, so she did that by just doing another curved line underneath there. So that's kind of the basic shape of our cat face. Okay. We have our body, which is this curved line, and then it starts from the back and goes into the tail, which makes this kind of question mark shape. So I'm going to try my best to kind of recreate that shape. Okay, so that's what I've got. Tail makes like a question mark or an S or a 2, whatever that shape looks to you. And then that long line continues all the way up and joins the head. And then we have our paws that meet from the tail, just the front paws. So it's again that kind of W shape. And then just a line that attaches it to the body. So I just went from the tail, I went like this to make that W at the bottom, curved it all the way up to join his face. He's a chubby boy. It's kind of what my cat looks like. And then we're going to put some whiskers on our cat, because what is a cat without whiskers? And then in our reference photo, they used a triangle to make a geometric pattern throughout the cat's fur. I like the way that looks, and I'm going to try and recreate this, so I'm going to use the same shape. You guys can use whatever shape you want. You can make lines through here. You can do squares, circles, whatever pattern you want. It's just to give some texture and some appeal, some visual appeal to the cat fur. So I'm not measuring these out perfectly. I'm just freehanding my triangles. You can do more, you can do less. This is your art piece. It can be whatever you want. If you had any of my art lessons this year, the thing I always tell the kids is that art is not perfect. It is anything you want it to be. So just kind of go crazy. Do whatever makes you feel right. Okay, so I think that's good enough for mine. I'm going to draw my little lines in my paws. So you can see his little tootsies, his little toes. There is this triangle detail in the ears just to kind of add some dimension. So that's the outline of my cat. I'm happy with that. I like it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my Sharpie or regular black marker, and I'm going to trace my pencil drawing. It doesn't have to be a Sharpie if you don't have one. It can be a black marker. You can use a crayon if you want. Anything that works for you. I like the Sharpie. It gives me nice crisp lines, although mine might be kind of dying because I did just do a bunch of art books, so we'll see how dark I can get this. And I'm just going to trace over my pencil line. If you don't hit the line exactly, that's okay, because we're going to go back with our eraser and kind of take out any imperfections that we don't want to see before we start painting. But again, there's no such thing as perfect in art. It's whatever is perfect to you, so go crazy with it. I'm just tracing all of these lines so that I have the outline of my cat in black. Make sure that line touches. Okay. That's how my outline turned out. You can see there's a few spots where I didn't meet exactly where the pencil lines were. So all I'm going to do is take my eraser and just go over those, kind of get rid of them, just so that when I paint with the watercolor, they don't show through, because the watercolor will not come out as opaque as the original, as our reference I should say, because that project was done with oil pastel. So they were able to get some really deep color in there, but I like the blendability of watercolor and just kind of how easy it is to use. So that's why I chose to use that. And that's what I have on hand. So I'm just gonna take the rest of these pencil lines out. Erase your scrapings off of there. So that is my outlined cat. That looks good to me. I like it. So now we're going to take those crayons. I have a yellow because it was the color they used for the triangles in the reference photo. I have white for the whites of my cat's eyes. And then I got blue to color in the iris and everything, because I think it'll be a really pretty color. And that was, again, what they used in the reference photo. So I'm just going to go ahead, take my crayons, and color in those parts that I wanted to use the crayon for. The reason I'm using crayons in the eyes is just because this is a smaller space. I think it's harder to get in there with the watercolor and not get it kind of murky. I want the eyes to stay pretty crisp and clean while I'm painting, so that I have this really nice kind of draw on the cat. They kind of bring you in, being that bright blue. And if I were to paint them, it wouldn't be as crisp and sharp. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just not what I want for my picture. So I just did whites in the whites of the eyes. I did the blue there. Now I'm going to take the yellow and color in all of those little triangles that I drew. And again, you guys can use whatever colors you want. This is totally up to you. If you didn't want to draw shapes and you just wanted to do some lines in your cat, you could even take like a black crayon or a white crayon and kind of draw some swirly shapes or the lines in there, so that when we paint, that will show up. And that would be really cool. So I just need to get all of my little triangles colored in. Almost done. Okay, last triangle. There we go. So I've got all of those colored in. Liking the way he looks so far. So now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my watercolor. So first, I'm going to take that brush one. I'm going to take one of my, I mean, it's a thicker brush, but it's tapered. I mean, it's not as thin as, say, this one that came in my set. I'm going to take this one, get it wet, and then I'm going to go in with my yellow, because that's the lightest color that we're using. And I want to get the lighter colors on first, so that as we build up the gradient in here, we're not trying to dilute any other, like I don't want to go too strong with a red and then have to try and make it an orange. I'd rather be able to build up my color than have to try and take away. So I'm going to go in my yellow. I'm going to look at my reference photo, and they have yellow right under the eyes. So this whole kind of cheek area, this part looks like it's kind of a yellow-orange mix, like they did two colors in that one spot. So I think I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put my yellow base down first then, because again, I want to be able to build up my colors. I don't want to have to try and take away later. And the only reason I'm using this smaller brush is so that I can follow these curves and kind of not get it all over the place. If it goes outside of the length though, that's totally fine. This is your piece of art. You guys can do whatever you want on it, okay? Okay, so I've got one cheek filled in. Now I'm going to do the other one over here. Same thing, following the curve of his cheek. If I get it in the body, not that big a deal, but I'm going to try and stay within these lines that I've drawn. Now I'm going to fill this portion in. If your paint is not moving well enough, you can put some more water in it to get it to fill in. You just don't want to oversaturate these areas with water, because it will kind of eat away at the paper if it has too much water on it. It won't dry correctly. Paper might kind of rip. We don't want that. So just kind of be mindful how much water we're putting in there, but you do want your paints to be able to kind of move and blend. Watercolor is not supposed to be thick like a tempera paint or things like that that we might have used in class for other projects. So now they have the tail section is yellow, so I'm going to kind of make just some lines across the body like that to kind of show me where I want that color to stop. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the cheeks and fill in the tail in yellow. And again, you guys can use any color you want. I'm just going to follow the colors from the reference piece just to kind of make it easier so you guys can see what parts I'm working on, and if you don't quite look up in time, you can still hear what I'm saying and look at the reference photo when you get a chance, okay? Colored in. Okay, so there are my light colors in this painting, okay? I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to put it to the side because I'm going to use a slightly larger one now. So, let's see. Now, the reference photo has sort of this orange color towards the bottom of the cat and right here in these bags that we've created. So I'm actually going to go back with, here's the brush I was looking for last time. I'm going to go back in with a small brush again. I'm taking my orange color, so I used yellow for those first parts. Now I'm going to take this light orange color. And I'm going to fill in those sort of bag areas that we've made. I know this is kind of what my eyes look like lately from running around doing so many different projects around my house, not getting a whole lot of sleep. Okay, so that part. Now I'm going to use a bigger brush because I'm moving into the body. I don't need to have that small, tiny detail brush anymore. I'm going to go back into that same orange because I'm making my ombre or my gradient effect here, and I'm going to kind of section my cat's body into thirds almost, and I'm going to go in with that color. I'm painting right over where I used the crayon, because that crayon, the wax in it, is going to act as a barrier for the paint. It's not going to go into those areas. It resists the paint, is what we say. And my nice yellow still pops there. I mean, I know this orange is similar to the yellow, so it's kind of harder to see it there. But because the paint doesn't soak in at that spot, I'm able to just kind of move it around over that and still have my yellow. It's going to go all the way down to his toes. See, I've kind of gone outside of the lines there. Totally fine, doesn't matter. I'm going to skip the tail because I want to keep that tail solid yellow like my reference photo. If you wanted to go ahead and just color your whole cat in kind of this gradient that we're going to make, you could just paint right over the tail too. That's totally fine. Go in that swirling shape that we made, trying to kind of stay within that line that I've sectioned off for where I want the orange to stay on the cat. And then here where it meets the yellow, I know it's hard to see because these colors are very similar. I'm just bringing that down into the yellow so that I can kind of see them starting to blend. Okay? So that's my orange color. Done with that. I'll rinse out my brush. So now there's sort of like a mid-tone between this orange and the next red pink color that's going on. So I have this more reddish orange in my palette. I'm going to use that. If you don't, you can paint more orange, kind of do like a half and half, and then when we do the red, we'll blend that in there, and that'll kind of create this second tone for you, okay? Or you can try and mix paints. Go a little bit into your orange, a little bit into your red, make it a little deeper, whatever you guys want to do, okay? So now I'm going to go, again, straight over the crayon because it's going to resist that paint. I'm going to do the same thing and kind of mark out a line where I want this to be on my cat. And then I'm just painting straight down, bringing it right on top of that other orange. And since this is still wet and I can move it around where it meets that other orange, I'm just kind of playing with it and blending it so I don't have like a really hard line. In this curve without mixing my colors, just because I, like I said, want to keep that tail yellow, but if you want to mix, you go right ahead. Okay. Move over here to this side. And if you find that it's kind of hard, see I'm getting like a patchy sort of area here, it's because I haven't gone back in my water yet. So I'm just going to get a little bit of water on my brush, go back over that paint I was just using, and now I can kind of thin that out and fill out those spots where I was having it look a little patchy. And then again, I'm just going to try and blend some of this in there. There's my second orange color. Okay, I think he's looking pretty cute so far. So now it has this pinkish red color. You guys can use plain red if you have just that. I do have a red that seems to have a little bit more of a pink to it, so I'm going to go ahead and use that one. And now I'm just going to fill in this upper portion of my cat's body. I'm going to try and stay out of the cheeks because I want those to stay yellow too, but again, if you guys touch them, not a big deal. If you want to blend it, go ahead. but I am bringing that right into that orange color I just did. And so we make almost like a fourth color because that red and that orange come together to make this even deeper tone. And it just looks so cool. I'm so excited with how this is turning out. Oops. So I've got a little bit in those spots. Oh well. Not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. Get a little bit more of that red. On this side. Here. Okay, and you can see here, got a lot of that brush stroke coming on because my brush is still wet. So I'm just going to tap it off on a paper towel so I take some of that liquid off that water, and I can go back in here, and now I can kind of pull it and blend it better to make that other tone we were talking about. And you can see we've got some of the paint that is kind of bunched up on top of the crayon because we have that wax resist. So with my brush a little more dry now, I can just kind of pull that out of the way. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to go back to my small brush just because I have this smaller area. And the top of the cat's head appears to be that same pink color, so I'm still using that color I just used to fill in the top of his body. And then go in and I'm just going to fill in the rest of his head. And I don't know about you guys, but I am left-handed, so I find when I'm doing projects, my hand tends to kind of drag across my art and sometimes can smear things. So if you're having that issue, you can put like a paper towel down or just something under your hand to kind of keep you from getting paint all over yourself and smearing things across your beautiful feline friend you're creating, okay? Cool. Feline friend you're creating, okay? Alrighty-dighty. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think he looks adorable. So that is my kitty cat that I've made, guys. And that is pretty much all there is to this one. The only thing left now is we can paint a background. They did just like a nice kind of bright blue color. I have a color like that, so I think I'm going to do the same. You guys can do whatever you want. You can make a solid background. You can paint a landscape, so you can make this cat playing in the grass outside. You can put him in a window. You can do bright blocks of color. Whatever you want. This is your painting. You guys can do anything you want, okay? So I'm just going to kind of outline my cat so that I don't have to do all this work trying to stay away from those pretty colors we just made for too long. I'm going to get a little bit of water so I can drag some of that paint down. There we go. And again, if it touches stuff, it's okay. I am doing my painting, I should say this, on top of just a big piece of cardboard. It's the back of a construction paper pad, actually, so that I don't get my paint everywhere, because I am a little quirky. I like to sit in my bed and do my art and paint. Like another famous painter, Frida Kahlo, she loved to paint in bed. It's relaxing, it's comfortable for me. So that's what I am actually doing right now. And so I don't want to get blue paint or orange paint or anything on my comforter. So I just have this cardboard under me, and then I'm also using just the artist pad underneath me for stability too. If you are doing this say on like a kitchen counter or a dining room table, I would suggest that we put some newspaper down, or a placemat that maybe you're not too concerned with getting paint on. I mean, it is watercolor, it's going to wipe up, but I wouldn't do it on top of like a fabric tablecloth or anything. But if you're outside and you're just painting this and you don't really care about getting stuff out there, go ahead. You don't really have to protect your surfaces. I just want you guys to be mindful of that. Okay, so I painted all the way around the cat. I outlined him. Now I'm just going to fill in all of this space. I'm going to keep working around with that blue because I like the blue, but again, you can add whatever color you want in there. And I'm going right to the edge of my paper. But you could even just do like this outline to give him kind of like a glow, like his aura. And you could just stop there if you wanted. But I kind of like the way that the blue fills up the space, and the play of the cool colors against the warm colors in the cat, I think really make him pop that much more. So I'm going to fill up my paper with the blue. Okay, there's my finished cat. I think he's adorable. What do you guys think? I hope you all like your cat just as much. Like I said, since it's finished, it's pretty dry down here. I didn't use too heavy of paint. I'm going to go ahead and sign this. So I'm going to put my initials. And that is my finished Laurel Burch inspired cat masterpiece, my catterpiece, I guess we could call him. I love it. I think he's adorable. I think he looks great. Very, very fun, very easy. Here's another one that Noah and I were kind of trying to figure out how to do this art project. We were playing around with doing the whole thing in crayon and doing some fun shapes and colors and stuff. So we still did the triangles, but then we added some lines in our cat. We did different colors throughout. He did the background by doing all these block colors and stuff, and then had me sign it because I drew the cat. So that's just another way you guys can do it. So I hope everybody enjoyed working on this, and I can't wait to go to the PTO page and see how your guys' cats turned out. So everybody have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. We've only got a few more weeks left of school, and then it's summer break. So I really, really miss all of you Thunder Eagles, and I hope you guys take care, okay?